It was supposed to be the night I died, not the night fate fell in love with me. The storm tore the sky apart, lightning flashing like the world itself was trying to erase me from existence. My car spun off the flooded road, headlights drowning in darkness. When I opened my eyes, I saw him, a stranger with storm-gray eyes, breaking through the rain to reach me. What if the man who saved my life was the one destiny meant for me to lose? Why did the thunder whisper his name before I even knew it? And what if love was never meant to save us, but to test how far we'd fall to keep it? When I opened my eyes, the world was quiet, except for the steady rhythm of his heartbeat beside me. He didn't know who I was, only that he'd pulled me back from death. I tried to thank him, but words felt too fragile to hold everything that moment carried. He told me I was lucky, but something in his eyes said he didn't believe in luck anymore. Maybe he once did, before the storm took it from him. He should have left, but he didn't. Every hour he checked on me, a doctor pretending it was just duty when it was already something more. That night, when the storm faded, silence filled the room like a confession neither of us was ready to make. I didn't know his name yet, but I knew my soul had already whispered it. 3 weeks after the storm, I saw the world in 2 lines, one faint, one bright. I thought I'd been saved, but maybe fate had only just begun to test me. I pressed my trembling hand against my stomach and whispered his name, though he'd never hear it. I told myself it was impossible. That one night couldn't change everything. But every heartbeat said otherwise, a new rhythm growing beneath my own. He didn't call. He couldn't. To him, I was just another patient he saved. To me, he was the moment my whole world began. So I ran, not away from him, but toward the only kind of peace I could find: silence. The clinic was small, the town smaller, but the peace was real. Sometimes the greatest hiding places aren't in shadows, they're in ordinary days that no one bothers to notice. Fate doesn't knock, it breaks the door open. I looked up one morning, and there he was, the doctor who saved my life, walking into the same clinic I now called home. The world didn't spin. It stopped. His eyes found mine like they had every night in my dreams. Gray storms searching for something they'd already lost once. He didn't remember the rain, the crash, the kiss. But my heart did. It never forgot. No, it never forgot. He smiled politely, like a stranger. I smiled back, pretending my heart wasn't shattering. Maybe fate was cruel, or maybe it was giving us one more chance to see if love could survive silence. Days passed in quiet torture. He worked across the hall. His voice carried through the walls. I learned how to breathe again, carefully, silently, pretending the air wasn't full of him. Dr. Mira Solon, age 30, female, noticed before anyone else. "You know him," she said. I tried to deny it, but my silence said everything. Secrets are heavy. Eventually, someone always sees the weight. That evening, I stood outside, the wind cool against my skin. He came out behind me, quiet, hesitant. The night felt like the one we met, except this time, the storm was inside us. I told myself I could keep pretending, that secrets were safer than truth. But destiny doesn't wait for courage. It takes what it wants when it wants. And that day, it came for both of us. His voice was the first thing I heard when the darkness broke. His hand was the first thing I felt. Steady, trembling, alive. I wanted to tell him everything, but fear still held its hand over my mouth. He saw it. The necklace. The same one that glowed against my chest the night he pulled me from the wreck. I felt his gaze burn through me, melting the walls I built to survive. "There was nowhere left to hide," he asked. "It was you, wasn't it?" And I broke. The words fell out like rain. Unstoppable, cleansing, cruelly freeing. Yes, I whispered. That night it was us. And before he could speak again, I told him the truth that had been burning inside me since that storm. I wasn't supposed to survive that night, I whispered, but you gave me life. And now, I carry yours. The silence after was louder than thunder. For the first time, he couldn't find the words to heal, because now, it was his heart that needed saving. He didn't speak, he just walked out. I sat there listening to the echo of his footsteps fading like the storm we once survived. I thought telling the truth would free us, but sometimes truth doesn't heal. It breaks what's left unbroken. The news spread faster than we could breathe. Whispers in the hallways, stares in the cafeteria. They called it scandal. I called it destiny. The kind that ruins you before it redeems you. He tried to protect me by pushing me away. He stood before the board, taking every blow they threw, every accusation. I watched from the shadows, my heart breaking with every word he didn't say. That night, Ethan Vale, age 28, male, came to my door. He didn't ask questions, he just said, "You deserve to be loved, Alara, not hidden." And for a moment, I let myself believe that maybe, in another life, he could have been the one. The next morning, I walked into that boardroom. Every eye turned toward me, but I didn't care. "You want the truth," I said. "Then hear it from me." My voice didn't shake, not once, because this time, I wasn't speaking as a patient or a mistake. I was speaking as someone who had finally stopped running. The air inside the boardroom was thin, every breath trembling between confession and collapse. I had just spoken his name aloud for the first time in months, and before the echoes faded, pain sliced through me so suddenly, the world tilted. The white walls blurred, the floor rushed up, and I tasted metal on my tongue. My hand found my stomach. 2 lives, 1 heartbeat slipping. Aiden's chair crashed behind him. He was moving before anyone else understood, his eyes wide with a terror that tore straight through all the walls had ever built. Papers scattered like startled birds. "Alara," he shouted. Not Miss Wynne, not the patient, but me. The voices around us were distant, irrelevant. I saw only him, the man who once pulled me out of a wreck of twisted steel and rain, now running toward me again, this time through judgment and disbelief instead of thunder. And as the world went dark at the edges, a single thought anchored me. If fate wanted to end this where it began, it would have to fight for us. I remember the sensation of motion, the rhythm of his stride, the thunder of his heart under my ear. The corridors stretched endlessly, white and humming, like arteries carrying us toward one last chance. He barked orders between gasps for air, every word sharp, alive, commanding. "Prep delivery room 2. Now." I'd forgotten how safe his voice could sound when he stopped pretending not to care. The same tone that once cut through rain, now cut through fear. Mira's figure flashed ahead, pushing open swinging doors. Nurses scattered, startled by the sight. A senior surgeon running with a patient in his arms, soaked in panic and love. And I, weak, breathless, fading, realized he was holding me the same way he had months ago. But this time he wasn't saving a stranger. He was carrying his whole world. Light. Cold. The sting of antiseptic air. I drifted between worlds. Voices swimming through static. Blood pressure dropping. "Get her IV line. Stay with me. Alara, that last one, his..." I tried to open my eyes. His hand was wrapped around mine, steady and shaking all at once. He leaned so close that his forehead nearly touched mine. "You're safe," he whispered. The same promise he'd given me in the storm. I wanted to answer, but my throat refused. Instead, I squeezed his fingers. A signal. A plea. A memory. And then, faint beneath the noise, I heard another rhythm. Tiny, uncertain, echoing my own. 2 heartbeats. Ours. For a moment, fear loosened its grip. Whatever happened, we were still here. All 3 of us, tangled in a miracle that refused to break. The room narrowed to a single sound. Silence. Our son entered the world without a cry, and for a breathless eternity, everything inside me froze. Aiden didn't move at first. Then instinct took over. He lifted the tiny body in trembling hands, his voice low, urgent, raw. Come on, breathe for me. His shoulders curved over the newborn, like wings, blocking the light, blocking the fear. Seconds dragged like years. My tears burned as I whispered his name, over and over, until his broke. He pressed his fingertips to the baby's chest. Gentle compressions, measured breaths. And somewhere between one heartbeat and the next, a sound shattered the stillness. A cry. Small, perfect, infinite. Aiden staggered back, laughter catching in a sob. He turned, eyes wet, holding the child toward me, as if offering proof that love can argue with death and win. He placed our son in my arms, and the world grew impossibly still. The baby's eyes fluttered open, gray, like his father's, stormlight softened by innocence. Tiny fingers gripped my pendant, the one that had once glowed through the rain. Aiden sat beside me, his hand covering both of ours. He looked exhausted, disbelieving, undone. You saved us both, he whispered, voice cracking. I smiled through tears. No, I told him softly. We saved each other. Outside, the clouds thinned, revealing the first trace of dawn. Light spilled through the blinds, bathing the 3 of us in quiet gold. The storm had ended twice. Once in the sky, once in our hearts. And as our son's breathing steadied, I knew. Miracles don't arrive wrapped in thunder. They arrive in whispers, and they stay. The first morning after the storm never quite looked like morning. It was softer, like the sky itself was taking a breath after holding it too long. For months we'd lived inside hospital walls, learning the rhythm of machines and lullabies. Now there was only the ocean, the scent of salt, and the sound of our son's sleepy sighs. Aiden stepped onto the sand, sleeves rolled to his elbows, eyes squinting against the light. He paused a moment, watching me sway our child to the hush of waves. He sleeps better when you hum, he said quietly. I think he just likes the sound of peace, I answered. And for once, peace didn't feel like a stranger. We traded the sound of sirens for gulls, the cold glow of fluorescent lights for the warmth of the sun through linen curtains. The clinic came together piece by piece, his hands building, mine painting, both of us learning that healing isn't only found in hospitals. Sometimes it's in laughter, in salt air, in mornings when everything smells like new beginnings. Aiden wiped paint from his cheek and laughed. You know, I was never meant to build things. You build people back together every day, I said. This is just wood. He smiled, shaking his head. No, Alara. This is home. Mira arrived one afternoon, her car door slamming shut against the wind. She still wore the same sharp confidence, but her smile softened when she saw us. I had to see it to believe it, she said, looking at Aiden rocking the baby with awkward precision. You doubted me, he teased. I doubted the universe's ability to give you a break, she replied, laughing. Later, she leaned close to me as I poured tea. He looks lighter, she whispered. He finally let go, I said. Of guilt, of ghosts. Mira's gaze flicked toward the crib. Then keep him that way. Ethan came next, bringing wood, nails, and that quiet steadiness that had always anchored me. He never asked about Aiden, never spoke about what might have been. He just worked. The rhythm of his hammer, echoing with the waves. When the fence stood finished, he leaned against it and smiled. "You found your place," he said. "I think it found me," I answered. He looked toward Aiden, who was carrying our son across the yard, and nodded. "Then take care of it, both of you. Sometimes love doesn't stay. It simply helps you arrive where you belong." Night came slow and silver. The tide whispered against the rocks, carrying the lullaby we'd learned by heart. Our son slept between us. Small fingers curled around my pendant. Aiden brushed a strand of hair from my face, his thumb tracing the faint scar on my wrist. "Do you ever think about that night?" he asked. "Every day," I said, "but not the way I used to. It doesn't hurt anymore." He smiled, eyes reflecting the moonlight. "The night I saved you," he murmured, "was the night you saved me." I leaned into him, the rhythm of his heartbeat matching the slow pulse of waves below. The moon climbed higher, painting the world in quiet silver. And as I closed my eyes, I realized the truth. The storm had tried to teach us. Love isn't the light that saves you from the dark. It's the hand that stays when the dark returns. Your choose more.